Hey there, it's Luke back again for the M5Stack official channel. In our Uiflow for Beginners series, you may have noticed the Weather Station program. Although this served as a simple introduction of how to use the ENV sensor to get temperature and moisture values, it didn't make a very good or very accurate weather station. There are many websites that give you live, accurate data of the current weather conditions. But how can we get that data onto our M5Stack? Micropython has a very useful module called urequests for fetching data from websites. Before we get into the lesson, let's have a quick overview of what makes up a website. The basic building blocks of a website are HTML or Hypertext Markup Language, which is a simple language that allows us to format text and create a frame for our website. If we want to make it look prettier, we often would use CSS or cascading style sheets. JavaScript can allow us to add interactivity and animations to our website and also store information in a convenient to retrieve way. We'll have a look at the JavaScript files that help us to do this later in the video. Lastly, we have images. In the early days of the internet, websites were quite sparse with their use of images. This was due to the slow internet connection speeds and processing power of the computers of those days. We may run into similar problems with our M5Stack, so we're going to be sticking with text for now. I wanted to show two examples of websites that provide us with weather data, one in pure HTML and another with JavaScript. Let's first check out this text-only weather website. I really love the ASCII art and the clean layout of this website, so let's try and get some data from it. As many of you will know, we can see the source code of any website by clicking on the developer tools and going to the console. Your browser takes this code and displays the website without you even having to think about it. Now let's go into the MUID to see how we can grab that code. If you've not used M5Stack in the MUID before, I suggest that you go and watch the previous video. I'll be using the REPL below to test the commands, and then I'll write our program above so we can save it to a script that will transfer to the M5Stack later. First, I'll make sure to import all of the M5Stack modules that are responsible for displaying things on the screen. Then we'll need to clear the screen and make sure that we're connected to Wi-Fi. To connect to your Wi-Fi network, we simply import the Wi-Fi CFG module and use the command Wi-Fi CFG do connect, followed by your SSID and password in quotation marks. Once it's connected, we'll see connected and got IP. Now we need to import the urequests or Micropython requests module. Now in order to get the HTML from the website we just looked at, we need to create a urequests object. Then we'll type urequests.get followed by our URL. For this video, we'll only be using the get method, not put, post, delete, etc. I'll try to cover those in another video. You can read up on HTTP requests if you're not familiar with this subject. After we've entered this line, the M5Stack will take just a moment to get the data. If you receive an error, it's likely that your M5Stack is not connected to the internet. Next, we can use the text function of the LCD module to display the HTML to the screen. Now it looks rather messy and we don't really need all of that data on the screen. We just want to get a specific piece of information. Say for instance the title tag, which shows me what location I'm getting the weather data for. I could use some simple string functions to find where that particular piece of information starts and ends, and then print that to the screen. But as you can see, it's not particularly convenient. This is where we'll start to look at how a particular JavaScript file format makes things so much easier for us. It's called a JSON file, which stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It allows us to present information in a dictionary type format with a key and a value. Now let's look at a weather forecast website which provides us with weather data in JSON format. Go to developer.accuweather.com and sign up for a free account. Once you've signed up and confirmed your email address, we'll go into My Apps to create an app. We'll just need to change a few of the details here before we create our app. Once we've done that, we can go into the app we've created to get an important piece of information, the API key. This is unique to every user's account. Now let's copy that and go into API reference and then choose Current Conditions API. Once I enter my API key, you'll notice that the location key changes. It seems that it's got my location automatically from my IP address. If you're using an anonymous browser or VPN service, you'll need to get your location key by going to the API list, then go down to text search and choose city search from the list. Enter your API key first, and in the queue field, enter the name of the city you want to get the data for. Then once you send request, you can find your code in the response field. Now all you need to do is copy and paste it into the location key area. Next, press the Send this request button. We can see the response here, but for our purposes, we'll need the URL. So click on the See URL tab. Now you can copy this and paste it into another tab to see what data we're going to get. You'll notice that the data is separated into a bunch of drop-down lists. In a moment, we'll be using the ujson file to load this data and navigate through it. Okay, now that we've got our links sorted, let's go back into MicroPython, and we need to make sure that we're going to import ujson as well. Let's do it inside the REPL. Okay, and now we'll create a new request. And then post that link that we just got in here. So now we need to create a new variable for that data to feed into the JSON module. Okay, ujson.loads. And then now to navigate through that data, if we look back at our website, we can see that each of the sections, that's a key, and then if we want to get the value, so we have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. We have to type each one of these out so that we can get into that data. So first we have the 0, and then temperature, then what was it, metric, and finally value. I'll just clear my screen again. So now we'll print that to the screen. There we go. Okay. Okay, and then for another example, we can go in and get the condition. Okay, so weather.text. Okay, now we can create another one for the weather condition. Okay, that's 0, and then weather text, I think it was. And I forgot the quotes. There we go, and then I guess you get the idea. So Now we've got that down, more or less. I'm going to go out the REPL now. So I'm going to type this program out now and just tweak with a few things. I'm not going to go through all of it, but you can download this code from my GitHub, which I'll place the link to in the description. Okay, so here I am more or less finished with this. Things to remember: for some reason Uiflow doesn't like lcd.txt if you run the program from Uiflow firmware, so best to use lcd print and then the variable or string, whatever comes at the start, followed by the coordinates. And then I've thrown that little ASCII sun in there just for a bit of fun. And then this is very important: make sure that you close the request afterwards. Okay, if you don't close the request, it'll hang or crash, or otherwise won't get the data that you need. And we'll need this wait in here. Actually, I'm going to make this longer. Basically, the free version of the API, if you'll see, it only allows us to make 50 API calls a day. So I'm going to make sure that this only calls like every half an hour. Not great, but like, unless you want to pay, this is basically the only option we have. Okay, so I'll save that as temp.py now. Okay, good stuff, save. And then I'm going to change to USB mode. Yeah, we're in USB mode. Okay, and then little trick, just go into any of the programs, any will do, and then hit the files. Okay, cool. Now files have loaded. Just drag that temp.py file across. Okay, overwrite, and then it'll flash on and off. It doesn't seem to run the program straight away, but all you need to do, just reset it, go to apps, temp.py, wait a few seconds, and voila, there we have it. Obviously a very simple implementation. This was just simply to demonstrate how we can use the urequests ujson library. You could consider using the buttons to change the country, have it grab images from the SD card to make it a little bit prettier, but that's all for now. Okay, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a comment, press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.